Welcome to Legal Talk with Francois, episode 7. In this episode, and then once again, we're answering questions directly from our followers. We unpack 3 legal questions that many firearm owners in South Africa are uncertain about. Since it's unlawful to possess a firearm without a license, can you legally allow a friend or family member to use your firearm, and under what conditions? What about your spouse who doesn't want their own firearm but may need to use yours in a life-threatening emergency? Does the law only allow that if you are physically present, or are there other legal options? And finally, beyond self-defense, hunting or even sport shooting, what other legitimate reasons can someone use to license a firearm, especially if they want to collect or display or build their own or build or even sell firearms? Let's unpack what the law actually says. Francois, welcome back. Good to talk to you again.
Hi, Rian. Nice to see you.
Well, let's get kicking with this. And I'm reading the questions literally verbatim as we've received them. Since it's unlawful to possess a firearm without a license, can I allow my friends or family to use my firearm, and under what conditions?
Yes, Rian. So as we discussed previously, Section 3 of the Firearms Control Act contains a general prohibition in respect of possession of firearms. So in other words, that section says that unless you hold a license, permit, or authorization for a particular firearm, you may not possess same. Now, the question here is, but can my friend or my family member shoot with a firearm for which I hold a license, even though that person clearly does not? So luckily, Section 22 of the Firearms Control Act makes specific provision for this situation. It provides as follows: despite anything to the contrary in this act, but subject to Section 120, subsection 5, any person who is at least 21 years of age and the holder of a license to possess a firearm issued in terms of this act may allow any other person to use that firearm while under his or her immediate supervision, where it is safe to use the firearm and for a lawful purpose. So in broad terms, this section does provide for such a situation, but it is subject to Section 120, subsection 5, which provides that it is an offence to give control of a firearm to a person who you know or ought to have known is mentally ill, or a person who is under the influence of a substance with an intoxicating or narcotic effect. So provided you obviously don't do that, and you ensure that this other person is sober and they are mentally well, if I can put it that way, and provided you as the license holder are at least 21 years of age, and provided that person is under your immediate supervision, and it is safe to do so, and it is for a lawful purpose, then you can allow another person to use your firearm. What is interesting here is that this section specifically says that the holder of this license who allows another person to use the firearm must be 21 years of age. Now, why that is relevant, Section 9(1) of the Act lists the requirements for obtaining a competency certificate. One of those are that the applicant must be at least 21 years of age. However, Section 9, subsection 5 provides that the registrar may issue a competency to a person under the age of 21 if there are compelling reasons to do so. But as I've mentioned, Section 22 expressly says that the holder of the license who wants to allow another person to use the firearm must be at least 21 years of age. And there's obviously a reason why that specific part of the section was included. So if you are one of the persons who managed to get a competency certificate and then a license under the age of 21 based on the compelling reasons that you submitted, you would, judging by the wording of Section 22, in that instance, not be allowed to let another person use your firearm. But I think in the vast majority of instances, the license holder is already 21 years of age. So that's just an interesting point. But yes, the answer is, provided that person is under your direct supervision and it's done for a lawful purpose, and that person is, not mentally ill, not intoxicated, or under the influence of some substance, you can allow them under your direct supervision to shoot with your firearm. We often see that where you might use a friend's firearm when hunting, or you might be on the shooting range with a friend and shoot with their licensed firearm.
Okay, that brings us to the next question, and I'm going to add something to that question that I was now thinking about as we were talking. I'm going to read the question first. I have a firearm for self-defense. My wife does not want her own firearm, but she wants to be able to use mine in an emergency. Can she only use it while I'm present, and is there a way to get past this? In other words, what he's getting at is if he's at work, for argument's sake, and his wife is at home and something happens, can she then use his firearm? And going on what you just said about having to be 21 years of age, a similar scenario, and this is my part of this question because I'm pretty certain somebody's going to ask it in any case. What if my 16-year-old son is alone at home, something happens, and he uses my firearm for a defensive purpose?
All right. So just to be sure, the 21 years age requirement pertains to the holder of the license who allows another person to use it. So in other words, Section 22 says that another person can use your firearm under your supervision, provided you as the license holder, you are 21 years of age. And that's not always the case, because some people obtain a competency and a license younger than 21 based on compelling reasons, and they would then not qualify to let another person use their firearm. So the age of the person using the firearm does not matter, provided that the holder of the firearm license is already 21 years of age, and obviously you comply with the rest of the section. So to answer this specific question, obviously his wife would be able to use his firearm under his supervision as per Section 22. But if he is not at home, first of all, his firearm would need to be locked in a prescribed safe, I presume, if he's not there and the firearm is there, to which safe he must have exclusive access. So generally, it would not be lawful for his wife to have access to or have his firearm in her possession when he is not on the scene, and that would constitute unlawful possession. However, we do have what we've touched on previously, the defense in criminal law called necessity, and that essentially applies in an instance where there are two, let's call it competing legal principles, and you decide to contravene one of the two because based on the circumstances, that is the reasonable thing to do. So in this instance, the example would be, let's say her life is under threat, and she now needs to protect her life on the one hand. On the other hand, it would be unlawful for her to access this firearm. If in those circumstances, let's assume she contacts her husband and she says, I have this emergency, and he then tells her where the keys to the safe are, which are supposed to be kept in safe custody as per the Act, whatever that means, and she then accesses those keys which she did not previously have the ability to access, and she then opens the safe and she fires the firearm in private defense. Now, the question might be, would she have time for all of this to happen in an emergency? But just as a matter of principle, the defense of necessity could apply where she accesses a firearm or uses a firearm which she is otherwise not entitled to do, but based on the defense of necessity, the court will hopefully in such an instance find that her right to life or her right to bodily integrity outweighs the provisions in the Act that says she must not have unlawful possession of a firearm in that specific circumstance. So it's a balancing act that would need to happen, but it could in principle be lawful. But as a general rule, no, your spouse cannot have access to your firearm when you are not present. The way to get around that, because in the question it says that this lady does not want her own firearm, but she wants to be able to use her husband's firearm. So the way around that would be Section 12 of the Act, which provides for additional licenses. And this section says that the registrar may issue an additional license in respect of a firearm contemplated in Section 13, 14, 15, and 16. In other words, self-defense, restricted firearm for self-defense, occasional sport shooting, or occasional hunting licenses. And this additional license may be issued to every person who resides on the same premises as the holder of the license. in respect of the firearm in question. In other words, if your wife resides with you on the same premises, or for that person, or for that matter, another person, that person or those persons can apply under Section 12 for an additional license, meaning you and that person or persons will have a license for the specific firearm, and then obviously each person is entitled to exercise whatever actions or privileges are associated with the possession of a license for any firearm. The section provides that this person who applies for the additional license must comply with all the requirements for the issue of the license in question, meaning that person will also need to have a competency certificate, and they will also need to apply in the same prescribed form. You just tick a different box on the firearm license application. You tick additional firearm license or additional license holder in respect of main license holder. But you still need to obviously apply, motivate, have the underlying competency, etc. And then you must continue to reside on that same premises for the license to remain valid. Subsection 3 of Section 12 says the holder of an additional license, when the holder of this license moves from the premises in question, such additional license lapses, and the person to whom such license was issued must return that license to the registrar forthwith. Okay. So in other words, it's actually an automatic lapse. The moment you move from the premises, the section says that the license will lapse, and you must then return the license. Obviously, another person who still holds an additional license or the main license holder would still be entitled to continue to possess it. But there is this way to go about getting a license on your husband's firearm without you having to buy your own firearm. And then you can access the firearm whether he's at home or not, because it would be lawful for both of you to have access to that firearm in the safe, since you both hold a license in respect of it.
That's your answer, Section 12 of the Firearms Control Act. Final question for this episode. You've dealt with licenses for self-defense, hunting, and sport shooting. But what are the other reasons one can use for licensing a firearm? What about people who want to collect, display, build, or sell firearms?
Yes, so Riaan, the Act makes provision for quite a few different things that we've not covered before. We mentioned just now a restricted firearm for self-defense. So Section 14 provides that you can license a semi-automatic rifle or shotgun, in other words, a restricted firearm, for the purpose of self-defense. But you must show that a firearm contemplated in Section 13, in other words, let's say a handgun for self-defense, will not provide sufficient protection. And you must submit reasonable information to motivate the need for the restricted firearm. So it's an open question what exactly that means, but the Act certainly says that there is this additional hurdle. We mentioned in Section 13, you must show that you have a need for self-defense and that you cannot satisfy that need by means other than possession of a firearm. Now, with a restricted firearm, there is the additional requirement that you must prove that a Section 13 a firearm would not be suitable, and you must or sufficient, not provide sufficient protection, and you must submit reasonable information to motivate why you need a restricted firearm. So that option is there. Those licenses are only valid for 2 years. So that's quite a short period, meaning you will need to renew quite often. Then Section 16 capital A applies to a professional hunter. That allows for the licensing of a handgun or a rifle which is not fully automatic. And that applies to a natural person. The person must submit, along with the license application, a sworn statement or a solemn declaration from their accredited professional hunting association, confirming that they have the status of professional hunter and that they are a member of such association. And that license will be valid for 10 years. Then we have a Section 17, which applies to a private collection. You can license under that section any firearm approved for collection by an accredited collectors association. They look at certain aspects regarding the history, the collectability, etc. of that firearm. And this also includes prohibited firearms. So it is possible to license under this section an automatic firearm. And this application must also be accompanied by a sworn statement or solemn declaration from an accredited collectors association in this instance, stating that the applicant is a registered member of that association. And there are certain further requirements. A firearm licensed under this section must be stored at the specific place specified in the license. So in other words, you can't just store it even temporarily at another premises, as you could do or can do with section 13 and 15 and 16, as we discussed before, subject to obviously certain rules still applying. And a firearm licensed in a private collection may only be displayed in accordance with certain safety measures. These licenses are also valid for 10 years. Then we have section 19, which is for a public collection. This is for a public collector or an accredited museum which displays certain firearms. It may only be displayed at this accredited museum or at this accredited public collector. And it may only be used on an accredited shooting range. So you are limited in terms of how and when you can use this firearm. And these licenses are also valid for 10 years. Then we have section 20, which deals in some detail with the different kind of licenses that you can obtain for business purposes. This is, for instance, for a security service provider. So most of our security guards that carry firearms, for an accredited trainer, an accredited game rancher, etc. Some of these licenses are valid for 5 years, and some of these licenses are valid for 10 years, depending on the exact category that you fall under. And there are many additional requirements as far as accreditation as a security service provider or as a game rancher or whatever. And these requirements also provide for the appointment of a responsible person within the entity who is then liable to comply with the let's call it the administrative requirements of the Act, such as renewing licenses, submitting certain information, change of circumstances, etc., etc. Then we also have section 32 provides for a dealer's license, section 46 for a manufacturer's license, and section 60 for a gunsmith's license. Now, these licenses are in respect of a person and not in respect of a firearm. In other words, all the previous sections we discussed pertains to where you obtain a specific license for a specific firearm for a specific use. But these sections deal with people who want to license themselves as being qualified to deal in firearms, to manufacture firearms, or to do gunsmithing work on firearms. There are also Chapter 7 of the Act deals with all of that, and there are also extensive regulations that regulate, the prescribed training that must be gone through, the premises from where you can conduct this business, etc., etc. So I'm not going to deal with all of that, but there are all of those options available. And then the last thing that I think we can cover here, Section 21 of the Act makes provision for a temporary authorization to possess a firearm. In other words, that's where you don't have a license for the firearm, but you have a temporary authorization allowing you to possess it for a certain time and under certain conditions. This section says that the registrar may issue such a temporary authorization to any person, including a non-citizen, and the registrar determines the period and the conditions. So this you sometimes see, let's say a person wants to or has applied for a certain firearm license, but he or she cannot afford to wait for that license to be approved after a few months because they have a massive shooting competition where they need the firearm, or which is going to happen in a month or whatever it is. They can apply under this section for a temporary authorization subject to the applicable regulations. In practice, some people have success in obtaining these, some not. The Central Firearms Registrar seems to be reluctant and I would even dare to say obstructive quite often in considering these temporary authorizations, but that is a possibility where somebody needs to, let's say, on a more urgent basis and perhaps for a shorter time or a more specific reason, just for an ad hoc purpose, might require a firearm for a short amount of time or even a longer amount of time. But you can, under this Section 21, possess a firearm without having to necessarily go through all the normal hoops of applying for the license.
If that's not a full-blown detailed answer to your question, then I don't know what it was. Thank you for that, Francois. Remember this, knowledge is power. And if you're a legal firearm owner in this country, then that saying is just more applicable than always. If you've got questions, please let us have them, and we will get to them in future episodes. Do yourself a favor, though, and also go and watch the previous Legal Talk episodes. This is episode 7. That means there are 6 previous ones. It may well be that we have answered your question already. Please do check it out. If you like the video, click on the like button. Subscribe to the channel. Help us grow it. Makes our presence bigger. And as always, smash that bell icon so that you can get notifications of new videos coming out. And if you are interested in the training offered by Fortis and Loan Operator, there is always a link in the description below. Check it out. We look forward to meeting you on a range one of these days. Francois, thank you so much.
Thank you, Riaan. See you next time.